One of the unspoken rules in TV is that if a show exists, chances are there's a decent collection of merchandise for it. Unless you're okay, KO, let's be heroes. I'm very sorry, KO. At the end of the day, cartoons are on a channel with advertisements, and despite being really fun experiences to watch, they still exist for a primary goal of profits. And when you have a cartoon with a big audience, it's only natural for you to expand into a completely different market of toys and action figures, but for those characters people already love. It's a win-win situation for the company who makes more cash money, and the consumer who has a good time collecting stuff. The only problem here is that it's not always a win-win situation. Back in the first few years of regular show's existence on Cartoon Network, fans would have the incredible opportunity to buy things like this, or this. They're Mordecai and Rigby alright, but at the same time, they're also imposters who have secretly done something with the real guys. Rigby looks like he's staring through the plastic covering, screaming for help to anyone who walks by him in the store. He can only speak with his eyes, as the toy company did something strange to his mouth. I don't know. I'm sorry to tell you this, dude, but I think it's too late to be saved. Now, obviously, this wasn't working out. The toy company wasn't doing a good job with bringing our favorite park workers into real life. The regular show crew realized this, and eventually came up with an entire episode dedicated to that. You might think I'm joking, but no. This actually happened. And so, I welcome you to the Brilliant Century Duck Crisis Special, a double-length Season 6 episode. From the special's intro, you can tell that this isn't like every other episode of regular show, and you'd be right. It's meant to parody the classic anime Evangelion, along with Japanese animation in general. Things flash on screen, and it's all hard to take in on your first viewing, but this does an incredible job at parodying the original. Despite this being known as that regular show anime episode, there's more to it. The first half is dedicated to setting up the massive fight that would take place for the rest of the special's runtime. Mordecai and Rigby get some action figures of popular TV characters that look really cool. These figures end up being cheaply made without any real point other than to lure fans into buying them for extra money. The guys complain, and rightfully so. But if you thought this was all there was in making fun of Cartoon Network's merchandise, think again. What really jumpstarts the story is when the major toy corporation Playco visits the park with a deal of their own, to turn Mordecai and Rigby into lifelong plastic with cheap paint and stiff bodies. The crew doesn't even try to hide it, as our favorite characters hold to the merchandise that actually hit shelves in real life just a few years before this episode aired.
They only have like 3 points of articulation.
Yeah, and they don't look anything like us. Maybe if you at least got the colors right.
Hey, who here runs a billion-dollar toy company?
Cool it, Neil.
As you can probably imagine, the guys aren't happy. They realize that, much like the real-life toy counterparts, these Mordecai and Rigby figures don't capture how they are, and there were no thoughts from the business people other than to make money. The toy company in the episode thought the same way, because they wanted to do whatever it took for our heroes to sign a contract and bring these figures to stores. Mordecai and Rigby don't want to sell out because that's the wrong thing to do, and that eventually leads to the massive anime robot battle in classic regular show fashion. And with that, all our favorite characters unite to become part of a greater robot. We even get to see the baby ducks return from an older episode in the show. What follows is pretty much the remainder of the episode, which is 10 or so minutes of non-stop action. The battle was really fun to watch, and knowing the gang's motivation in fighting made it all better. They knew that bringing these horrible action figures to shelves would only do harm, especially when the toy company isn't trying to make legitimate merchandise that fans will love. While watching the Brilliant Century Duck Crisis Special, you'll notice that things are over the top. Just when you think regular show can't outdo itself with how insane things get, well, they outdo themselves. We see a giant space robot anime fight like no other, and it works like an all-star kind of episode because the spotlight is on so many different characters at the same time. Something that's special is Benson's mini story arc throughout the episode. At the beginning, he says that selling out and getting terrible toys made could actually help them a lot because they'd make money that could go to retirement. But as the space fight continues and Benson takes part in the action against these evil toy businessmen, he starts to realize that selling out isn't the way to go. He understands that it's important to stay strong and refuse to give in to these corporations. One of the funniest parts of the special is when we're taken outside of the action and into this focus group for the toys being shown on TV.
Why couldn't the long-lost brother have been a long-lost sister? And how are all their disparate technologies able to even connect to each other?
Doesn't like boys, doesn't understand robots.
It just goes to show you how much the regular show team wanted to take shots at the big toy companies who only care about money. Not only for Cartoon Network's awful merchandise in real life, but for any other franchises that accepted bad deals. The Brilliant Century Duck Crisis Special may be centered around one of the biggest anime fights in the entire universe, but at the root of everything is Playco. From their very first appearance on screen, it was clear that their one and only goal was to make more profits than they could dream of. They didn't care about being faithful to any original show or pleasing old-time fans, and that's exactly the motivation that kept the park gang moving forward. To prove just how serious the regular show crew was with their distaste of these figures, the entire world was destroyed. Yeah, a greedy toy company led to the end of the world. It's normal for the kind of cartoon we're watching here, but that should still give you a pretty good idea of just how big the real-life problem is. This is one of the reasons I love regular show. It's not afraid to get weird or take shots at real-world situations. The fact that they made an entire 22-minute episode all to throw shade at toy companies, and especially these figures, is hilarious. For anyone who hasn't already checked out the episode, you'd probably have a good time watching, even if you're not a big fan of regular show. This one is going down as a classic. But anyway, that's all for this video. Subscribe for more awesome cartoon videos. Give a thumbs up and comment below, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.